Hello, everyone. We're back. This is another Frieren episode, French fry, and I'm here with only Bert once again.
Welcome back.
We're still filling time until he returns. So anyways, Bert,
Yes.
I just recently refreshed myself on the episodes 7 through 12, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And I think it's best to split this into two parts because it's almost like two arcs. It's like an arc and a half, really. 7 to 10 is kind of like its own thing. And then 11 and 12 forward actually continues from some like separate thing almost.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll focus first at 7 through 10. And I think 7 through 10 is insane.
I think I agree.
So freaking good.
I genuinely think that like these episodes are some of my favorite episodes in anime.
Yeah, with I don't know about in anime,
Only because of like
definitely. Sorry,
largely because a lot of the
without
times
saying what's going on, don't say it yet because we'll get to like specifics. But
this sort of situation gets brought up, it doesn't normally end this way. It normally ends with some sort of like a peaceful negotiation. You know what I'm trying to say? Without spoiling.
I guess so. It depends on the show, but sure.
I feel like a lot of the times the opposition or like, well, I'll get to it when we get to it. I don't want to spoil it. No.
Okay, yeah. Without spoilers, I will say that episode 10 is my favorite episode of the show so far.
That is such a good episode. The last, like one of the last lines.
Episode 10 brings this anime into the top 10 of coldest lines I've ever heard.
Yes, I 100% agree, and I know which line you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, that was a god tier line. Like, this is
worked.
up there with like Pain, Madara, the Thanos, I'll do it myself. Like that was an insane line.
It was
we'll get
built
to
up.
what exactly it was, but yeah, the conclusion to this mini arc, which only 3 episodes, and really it is an arc.
Yeah, well, it talks about why they do something.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just it's an entire arc. New characters are introduced, new conflict.
You get a bit of background,
beginning, middle, end. Yeah, and conclusion to this arc, insane.
I agree.
So let's start off. We ended episode 6 with Stark just being recruited,
They were
pretty
leaving
much.
the town. They went through that gate.
Yeah, and now we are continuing, and where we pick up the squad, the new squad now including Stark, so Frieren, Stark, and Fern are traveling, and well, actually, I think it just directly starts showing them helping someone
They're helping
get their
a merchant
wagon past some
clear up a landslide. And Stark is like, why can't we just use magic to move the wagon over the landslide? And they're like, well, that won't help other people later.
Yeah, and then what is also cool about that though is Frieren's like, yeah, I don't really give a fuck, but Fern wanted to.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, whatever. Also, just a minor thing. Why the hell is Stark even shoveling? Like, what a waste of time. They can, his impact to moving these rocks is so small compared to them, using magic.
It's one of those...
I'm just saying I'd be pissed, I'd be like, why am I even shoveling when you could do what I will do in hours in 2 seconds?
Even when they're using magic, you can see that they're only moving a rock at a time that uses 2 of them.
Yeah, but they're moving in 10 seconds. What is 50 to 100 shovelfuls for him?
I guess, but any bit helps.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyways, yeah, so they're helping some guy.
Even if he saves
they get
one
him through,
load.
and he's like, "Oh, let me take you to town." And they're like, "All right, bet." Takes him to town. We get to this fairly large-looking town. I don't remember what it's called.
I can't think of the name,
but
either.
It's a big town. It's like the first big northern area town. Now that they're in the north.
It has walls and
Yeah. So I believe they're just the what's his name dude that they helped. He's like, oh, let's go walk around town. They see like a statue of the old squad. You get some flashbacks of like Himmel and Heiter.
Just them exploring the town.
Yeah.
And then they come across.
Yeah, you
And
got
then
it.
all of a sudden Fern goes like, she like walks in for a second and then she starts to like, she sees like a group of demons in the town. So
It's Frieren, not Fern.
Frieren sees a group of demons in the town. So she goes to attack them. And as she's about to attack, she gets stopped by the town's guards. And they're like, how dare you attack a peace envoy sent by the demon army? So then they arrest her. And she's like, you don't understand. These are demons. They're just monsters. They'll lie and manipulate. And they're like, nonsense. They're here to talk about peace.
Yeah, and then the guards take her away off to the castle dungeon. That pretty quickly after that, the group reunites in the dungeon. They're like, "Hey, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Why'd you do that? It's a peace thing."
They say that she got sentenced to 2 years.
Yeah, she's like, "Really? Only 2 years? Easy profit."
Bring me some books.
And then she basically gives us like a flashback here, telling Fern and Stark why demons are terrible. Do you want to explain the flashback, or do you want me to?
Fill in the details,
you
but
got
I think I remember most of it. So they find this like demon girl, like a little girl demon,
like Himmel and them.
Yeah, Himmel and them, and Himmel's like, we need to protect her, and the town's like, no, kill her, she's a demon. Himmel's like, I can't kill a child. So
yeah, someone's like, that thing ate my daughter.
Yeah, so eventually a farmer is like, I'll raise her. So
what a nice guy.
He ends up taking the demon girl into his home. And then some time passes.
And then weeks go by at least.
And then the entire time the hero's party is watching this demon because Frieren's like, no, this demon's bad. And Himmel's like, nah, she's not. Like, because he was still kind of hopeful. I forget exactly what sets it off. But...
So, no, just one day, this demon child burns down the house of the farmer that took her in.
Oh, I remember.
And...
So... The demon girl, like when she was getting prosecuted before like Himmel and the farmer stepped up, one of the townsfolk was like, she killed the girl, like the daughters that she ate.
Yeah, the daughter she ate. So then one day, we're seeing after, a couple days or weeks pass that she's been living with this farmer. Farm's on fire, farmer's dead, and this demon girl is holding the daughter of the farmer. And she's like, I got you this kid to the lady whose daughter she ate to make up for the one that I ate. So you've been looking at me like you hate me for so long. So here, this should fix everything. And everyone's like, what the hell? No, that doesn't fix anything. And then the demon's like, well,
I tried.
Guess I'll just have to take this kid with me then. And then instant Himmel just like cuts this freaking thing's arm off, drops it to the ground. And then, Frieren's like, can I freaking destroy it now? And just like blasts a massive half of its body off.
And then
it's crazy.
I think this is kind of important. So as like,
yeah, Frieren, it is. I was gonna say it, but you got it.
As Frieren shoots the girl screams for her mommy. And as the girl's turning to dust, as all monsters do, Frieren interrogates the girl.
I think it's just demons.
No, monsters turn to dust too. Demons and monsters.
The dragon didn't.
Demons and monsters die the same way.
So what about the dragon?
I don't know then. Maybe the dragons are special exceptions?
I think it's just demons.
I really think monsters die the same way.
Just go.
Okay, so anyways, she asked the monster, like the demon girl, why'd you call for your mommy? And she's like, those magical words normally stop humans from killing me.
Yeah, it turns out Frieren was right. They actually don't give a fuck about anything.
They don't even know.
Only speak to lure people in.
They don't even know what like a mom is or a dad is. And we get another example of that in a bit.
True. I believe it's this episode too. It is. So then we continue on back to the present, and then Stark and Fern are like, damn, demons are pretty fucked up. And then we go to the peace envoy demons talking to like the governor, lord of the town.
Yeah.
I believe he's a lord or a king or something. I think he's a lord, though.
I would say lord.
And he's talking to the demons, and he's like, showing them his son's room. He's like, this is my son's room. He has all these medals and this cool sword. And they're like, where is he? And he's like, he died in battle. And then this lord just like pulls a sword on this demon. Like, turns out it was all a setup to freaking destroy this demon.
He's like, why shouldn't I kill you right here and right now?
Yeah, pretty badass. And then the demon's like looking around, clearly processing, and he formulates his plan. He's like, my father was killed on the battlefield just like your son or some shit. Like, that's some dumbass excuse.
He's like, my father died on the battlefield, but I'm not holding a grudge. We have to eventually lay down
He's
arms.
like, let's make peace. He's like, let's end the cycle of pain. He's like, bet.
So then
they walk away, and then while they're walking away, the other demon like goes up to the lead demon. They're like, what's a father? He's like, who knows?
Yeah.
Just one of those words that works on these idiots.
And then
Pretty
I think that's
masterful play,
I think that's the end of episode 7.
Well, then we get like a mini cliffhanger, but it's also in the next episode where one of the side demons goes down to the dungeon and threatens Frieren. He's like, I'm gonna kill you.
He kills the guard outside.
Then that's when the episode. Yes, he's got like these fishing line like magic things that are
or some shit.
Yeah, crazy stuff. It's pretty cool looking, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, Frieren. You're our only threat. And then she's like, really calm. And then it ends. And then we get to the next episode. And honestly, this episode also fire, at least at the beginning, because you start off with this confrontation between Frieren and the Mana Thread guy. And he's like, well, how strong are you? And she's like, pretty strong. He's like, stronger than me? She's like, yeah, probably even stronger than your
boss.
Lead queen demon who's not even here, not even the boss that is like of the peace envoy, but the
Guillotine,
boss
I think they call her something.
Aura is her name.
Aura the Guillotine.
So he's like, I doubt that. And then he instantly hangs her, and he's like, because you're already dead. And then you see that Frieren has like put this mana around her neck to stop it. She's just like casually hanging there. It's so funny. It's so funny looking, but it's so badass. She's like, this is pretty bad.
I think,
and she's like talking to him, just so calm about like, so I guess there's no way I can break your mana thread. Then he's like, yeah, there is literally no way you can break it. She's like, okay, and cuts his whole arm off. Doesn't even try to break the thread,
Yeah, just cuts it off at the source.
Which was honestly so badass.
It is pretty cool. It is so cool.
And then he pulls out his freaking whole other hand full of strings, and she just cuts that one off too, throws him to the ground. He goes, no, and then he blows her. She like blows him up at the neck or some shit.
Yep.
So
she dealt with.
It's pretty cool.
And then he turns to dust.
Nice stuff. Yeah, this mini arc is like the most action packed of the show so far, honestly, at least that we've seen.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
So then Frieren's like, well, I guess I'm free now, but she notices the guard's dead, and she's like, damn, I guess I'm going to have to dodge town.
Yeah,
because,
I'm a convict now.
Yeah, I'm escaped. They're totally going to think that I killed this guard since the demon turned to dust.
No evidence.
Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Fern and Stark are out, like, just in town, and they're, like, trying to come up with ways to defeat these demons. Because they're like, well, I guess we can't count on Frieren because she's in jail. We got to figure out how to take these demons out. Stark, obviously, very scared, but he's like, fine, I'll help you. They're still formulating a plan or whatever. And I think they eventually just like run into Frieren on the street.
Frieren's like notices her mana, and she's like, there's no way, right? And then she's like, starts like chasing this like hooded figure. And then the hooded figure dashes down an alley, and it turns out it's Frieren.
Yeah, then she just explains what happened in the jail cell to them, and then they're like, well, this is perfect. You can help us kill those demons. We don't stand a chance against them. And I think Stark says something that was pretty cool. He's like, when those demons had you in the street, like, they weren't even bothered by our presence, like him and Fern, he means. Like, they were 100% focused on you. You were, like, the only threat, and you are we are nothing to them. Me and Fern cannot take these
They were scared.
remaining two because she killed one.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot take these two demons down. We need you.
And Fern was like, you got it.
And then Frieren's like, nah. Oh yeah, sorry. Frieren's like, nah, you got it. I'm leaving town. And then at first I was like, damn, she's really just gonna dodge, but she actually goes and does something even more badass. So it ended up being she's like actually gonna go track down Aura the guillotine.
He's like, I'm a
guillotine.
Stark was talking about how he was afraid to fight such strong opponents, and Freeman was like, I don't like fighting strong people either. And then she wants to go deal with the demon army off in the distance.
Yeah, so some backstory. I think it's slightly mentioned, but not fully, where that Himmel's party had run into Aura in the past during their quest, and they basically wiped out a ton of her forces, but were never able to track her down.
She ran away.
And now she's back.
Mm-hmm.
So Frieren's like, she didn't say it to them, but she's thinking, like, I'm leaving town, and her plan is to go deal with Aura. And then meanwhile, she leaves Fern and Stark to deal with the ones in town, because once those are down, easy win,
Yeah.
Town's safe. There's also a scene then where I actually loved this because this is so uncommon. The Lord of the house comes to talk to the like leader of the peace envoy, who again is not the leader of the demons. He's just the leader of those three.
Mm-hmm. The demon's currently infiltrating the town.
Yeah, and he's like, the prisoner is missing, Frieren, and it seems one of the guards is dead. And I loved how this guy is not a fucking
He
dumbass.
actually is intelligent.
He's like, I don't think she would have killed a guard. Like
She
I think what he said
cooperated.
was, in the street she cooperated. She let us take
She
her
could
in.
have
She
fought.
knows the. Yeah, he's like, she knows the consequences of killing a guard. I don't think she did it. And then all of them pull their swords and weapons on these two demons, and he's like,
because he was asking the demon about like the assassin.
yeah, he's like, where's
dude.
your buddy?
He's like, oh, he went to go to the bathroom, and he was like, without
Without
asking someone.
help. And then he went on his whole thing about, you don't need to be that specific. Just keep cutting me off is all I'm saying. Point is, though, they all pull up their weapons on this guy, and it's like, damn, this is about to go down. But not really, because this guy just bodies every single guard in a single move. And then it's just the two demons and the Lord left. Lord actually holds his own a little bit, though. He blocks some good attacks. The other demon at this point, though, is not doing anything. So it's like, you already know. You're like, if they're getting bodied by just one of them trying, if they both tried, this guy would be dead.
I don't even think the one demon was really trying.
No, he wasn't trying either. But the other one was literally just standing there,
It would have been over.
Like, yeah, it would have been over. They were just playing with him. But impressive that he was, doing anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, we now see the main of this envoy, the main guy's power, which is pretty cool. He, like, when he bleeds, he, like, turns it... He basically can control his blood and solidify it. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also pretty scary, because, like, he was, like, cutting himself on purpose to get around defenses and stuff. It was crazy.
And they have, like, the regen factor.
Yeah, that too. It was cool. I liked it. So they take the Lord hostage. Then Fern and Stark are breaking in with the intention of killing these demons, and they come across the Lord guy who has been captured, and it's like, damn, this isn't good. Let me get him out of here, Stark. And it's just Stark alone at this point, and you're like, I wonder what happened to Fern.
Well,
he's like, let me get you out of
here. One
here.
thing we do learn is that the demons are trying to figure out how to control the barrier around the town.
Yes, that's true, because they want to break in to destroy the town. That's why they kept him alive.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just, and I'm just thinking about it. It's so freaking badass. But basically, Stark can't free this guy because he's got like some kind of magic on his bindings that restricts it from being cut for some reason. Who cares? Whatever. But the demons come back because obviously they are like god tier at magic, so they can detect Stark, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And then the Lord actually lies, which is pretty cool. This Lord, even though he's only in 3 episodes or whatever, he's a pretty good character.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, actually, it's not that we brought it up. Normally, at this point in anime, a lot of the times demons are humanized. Like they for some reason like we're given a reason to sympathize with them. But in this, they're like actual just monsters.
Yeah,
and it's refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, no, it wasn't really anything I put any thought into. I've seen both, so to me though, the more interesting thing was the powers that they had. I thought were cool and unique.
They were. I agree.
So, anyways, the Lord's like, nah, they probably just came for he probably just came for his friend. He had no idea that this was happening, like trying to get Stark to leave. He like, get out of here before they kill you. And the demons are like, all right, get out of here. We don't need you.
I'll let you leave again.
Yeah, and then Stark, still shaking. He's got his fear always, but I love it. He steps up. He's like, no, pretty much. I'm not leaving. He's going to protect this guy. They even give you a close-up of him shaking, looking at these two demons. And they're like, pretty brave for a stupid idiot that will die. Mm-hmm. And then Stark like does some badass flip thing, and they're actually impressed by how fast he is, and he's able to get a hit on him. Unfortunately, though, the more this guy bleeds, the more you get bodied, and Stark has a giant axe that cuts people.
Not looking good.
Not a great setup for him. He gets a big slash to the side of the guy. Guy just goes, oh, good, more blood for me to attack you with, and just pins Stark to the ground. And you're like, damn, he's fucked. It's over. And then call back again to just how God tier Fern's mana concealing abilities are.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
he yells for her, pretty much.
You idiot, how could you come here alone? And he's like, they think I'm alone, those fucking idiots. And Fern was there the whole time, and she just floats up through the window like a god
pretty much.
And just blasts this guy. It's insane. It was so cool. It was like just badass.
Yeah, and the guy was kind of scared by Fern's attack. He was like, what was that spell? And she was like, oh,
yeah, because that
elementary magic.
You got it. What is so cool about this is that we see that, like you said, he's like, what was that spell? And she's like, that was just, like you said, ordinary offensive magic. And he's like, she's like, Zoltath, I think it's called. And he's like, you expect me to believe that was Zoltath? Or
demon magic.
Yeah. You expect me to believe it's that? This spell has clearly been modified to kill demons, because a normal spell could not kill a demon.
Yeah, well, that and because then, the original spell was designed for humans.
Yeah, like I just said 1 second ago, the normal version could not kill demons.
I couldn't hear
you. Which is cool because we actually see that for the first time that Frieren has developed this spell further. This was not like the work of a human or anyone else. It was specifically Frieren, and that she taught it to Fern. And we'll actually see more about this later on, that basically Fern has been trained as an expert demon killer since birth without knowing, Yeah,
Fern is special
She's
made
just
for
a perfect
demons.
demon counter.
That's so funny.
Which is pretty freaking awesome.
And she's a pretty strong... I feel like
just in general a strong mage, but like her like speciality is demons unknowingly. Yeah. And when she blasted this guy, she blasted like a whole arm off and half his body. It was freaking crazy. So then the other demon is like, I'll handle them. And then Fern's like, oh no. She freaking gets Stark up. Stark grabs the guy. It's like a standoff. Clearly this battle would go very bad if it actually kept going on. So Fern, Stark, and Lord Boy retreat.
And the demon
and we're like,
tries
okay,
to pursue,
they got the Lord.
And then but then the girl gets stopped by the leader. He's like, no, go do it.
Yeah, he's like, don't chase them. If you were blasted with this, you would have died. The only reason I survive is because I can heal myself. And he like recovers this hole in his body.
Mm-hmm. And then he's like,
Fern's freaking badass.
And he's trying to figure out like where he's seen that spell before.
Yeah, I mean, he just knows that it is that spell, but not specifically. It's a altered version of that. And then, like you said, wait. He's like, wait, it couldn't be. But then he doesn't figure it out. And he keeps thinking. And then, just right at the end of this episode, we see Frieren pull up on Aura. And not the battle hasn't started yet, but she pulls up and it's like, oh, this is about to go down. And episode 9, I want to kind of like skip past some of the less important parts, but basically they get the Lord away, patch him up, put him in a little minor sealed away from demons area.
Fish.
Yeah. And then they're formulating their new plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their actual plan, Stark was like, okay, let's go get Frieren. Like, we're not fighting them. But he's like, says it in a way where at first Fern thinks he's going to go fight them on his own. She's like, wow, I can't believe you're actually going to do that. It's just a funny moment.
Miscommunication.
But then, they end up agreeing on the plan. Okay, let's go get Frieren. They're thinking actually at this point that there's only one demon left, probably. They don't think that guy would have survived that attack. So they're like, let's go get Frieren to take out this last demon. We should be good. And everything should work out. So they're like they walk out of town to like look for Frieren. And I actually love the way this played out because it like shows that they weren't trying to fight. Like they were not ready for it.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. So like they're on like a wall or something, the wall of the town.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember this.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember 100%.
Well, they're on the wall of the town, like looking for Frieren, and then Fern's like, "Man, you got a lot of blood on your arms from that fight. Shouldn't you change so the guards don't think you murdered something?" And he's like, "What do you mean? You have blood on you too?" And then she looks down and she's like, gasp, throws her cloak over the edge, and he's like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And the blood comes alive and stabs Fern like right through the shoulder, barely missing her chest.
Doesn't it pin her on
she
the wall?
Like quick stepped it. Yeah, it pins her to the wall. Turns out Blood Guy like left blood on them intentionally to track them.
Yes, I remember now.
And I loved this because this fight starts, and that's like Stark's thing, right? He is really good at fighting, but so bad at being brave enough to do it. So like he needed to be forced into it to actually try, and he was here.
He needs to be fighting for his life, pretty much.
Yeah, and it just sidelines them. So Fern pinned to the wall, and then he's like, Fern, and then the other second demon, we finally get to see her powers. She's like fast as shit and has this really cool like magic ability of generating different weapons. She just freaking like slaps the shit out of Stark and sends him flying off the wall into the forest, splitting them up.
And then they split off.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Frieren's like confrontation with Aura starts, and at this point Frieren's just fighting her like army of like
should we
dead
talk
souls
about her
that
weapon first? Like the scales?
Yeah, when I was going to when we get
scales
there.
Are mentioned by now.
It's not actually.
I thought they were.
It's mentioned by the blood guy to Fern.
Oh. I thought
I'm good to go.
No, I thought they knew when Himmel and them fought in the past. Because we get a little flashback talking about it, I think, in the beginning of this episode.
Definitely not in the beginning of this episode. The Lord might mention it, but there's no flashback.
All right, anyways, continue.
I mean, I was going to say it anyways, but you interrupted me.
Continue.
The point, so she's fighting Aura's dead, like, not dead, but like warriors that have died. She like possesses their souls and bodies and stuff to like keep them through, which this is where we are now. I think it's called the Scale of Fate. I can't remember exactly what it's called.
It sounds right.
You? It's a scale is the point. Basically, she takes a soul, puts it on the scale, puts her own soul on the scale, and is able to, with the person who has more mana, controls the other one. So she has an army of thousands of like warriors and mages and stuff from this town that they're in that have been killed, and not killed, but like lost their soul pretty much, and now are dead. And Frieren's fighting them, right? Then we get the flashback, which is probably what you're talking about, where you see Frieren is like fighting all these reanimated, basically. Not reanimated, but like soul. I don't even know what you'd call them, like soul warriors,
I guess
right?
Undead.
Yeah, but they weren't dead until it happened. I don't know. But she's like not like destroying them. She's like doing insane magic to like release the souls instead of killing them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aura's like, why are you she's like, you're wasting your mana to release these souls. Last time we fought, you just blasted them. And then that's where we get the flashback I think that you were talking about, where Himmel like got mad at her for doing that because he's like, yo, these are souls that we should be saving, not destroying.
Maybe.
So that's what we get there.
That's cool that she's doing that.
Just like, yeah, now she's doing that, which is pretty crazy that
Himmel had an impact.
Yeah. I mean, he's had an impact a lot of times, but it's just cool to keep seeing it.
Yeah.
So then we go back to the like fight in town, and what I think is crazy, like Fern is pinned to this wall and she's just so straight faced with this like
she's just
thing stabbing through her, pinning her to the
like,
wall.
This is whatever. She could probably get out of it.
She's like, wow,
she
that
wanted.
hurts. Maybe, I don't know, but they're kind of just watching. He's just like holding her to the wall, and for like the beginning of the fight, they're just like watching Stark and the other demon fight, and Stark's just getting his ass kicked. Like for the first while, it's not even a contest. He doesn't even hit her. She's just destroying him. You know,
one-sided brawl.
Yeah, eventually, I'm just gonna do all of Stark's fight, then all of Fern's fight, because it jumps back and forth a lot, and it gets confusing to talk about it that way. You know. Actually, you do Stark's fight. I'll do Fern's.
Right, so
unless you want Fern's.
I can do Stark's. So Stark and the demon girl are going back and forward, and then the demon girl changes her weapon to an axe, very like almost exactly like Stark's, and she starts mimicking his moves and stuff, but better than him. Stark's like, what's going on here? And then demon girl reveals that she's seen these moves before, referring to the dwarf back in the last war.
She's basically Taskmaster.
Yeah, pretty much. That's her power, right? And then her
that and just being able to like generate weapons.
I think that's her. Like that's her weapons ability, and her ability is the copying.
Yeah, something like that.
So Stark has like this "what am I gonna do" moment, and this has like his low point essentially. And then he's like,
and he starts freaking out because he's like, I can't beat my master.
He's like, how am I supposed to beat someone like my master that knows everything I'm going to do and knows all my moves?
She also has kind of a cold line here too. She's like, I'm gonna kill you with the moves of your own master. Yeah. It's like, damn, that's pretty fucked
personal.
Because this other girl, this demon girl, is just like loves torture basically. So she's like, this is gonna be fun.
And then what makes him like flip almost?
Well, she kicks his ass a bunch, beats him into the dirt, and walks away. And he has like a thought of his master, and his master's like, you haven't lost.
Oh yeah,
if you keep getting
up.
As
long as you keep getting up, it's not, you don't lose. Yeah. So then he stands back up, and he yells to the demon girl, and so then he goes to like runs and attacks her, I think, and she's like, wide open, easy like attack. So then she goes to attack him. So basically they trade blows. And Stark,
what happens is when she beats him into the ground, he's like, damn, that fucking hurt, but
it hurt.
That hurt way more when my master does it.
So he's kind of figured out that he can tank a blow from her.
Yeah, she might be able to copy the moves, but she doesn't have the same strength as him. So they are the same moves, but she obviously isn't hitting as hard. So he's like, maybe I can just tank a hit and then go for the kill after she's like open.
So then that's what prompts the trading of blows. So then he does like a thunder slash. I forget what he actually calls it.
Yeah, whatever that thing is where he's like digging the canyon when you first meet him. He does that and just annihilates her in a single blow. And she's like, what? No. Turns to dust.
And then
meanwhile, Fern's in her fight with this other guy. And she's stuck to the wall. She eventually like is able to pull her staff towards her while this guy's thinking for some reason, and because he just seems to
He's
not want to
kinda
kill her.
confident.
Because he's trying to find out. Well, I think also because he's still trying to find out like why she knows that spell. Like that's like the reason he's like not killing her, because he wants to know. And he's like, how could she know this spell? And then Fern escapes from the thing, holds the staff to him, and she's like, I'm gonna take you down now. And he's like thinking back to that blast she gave him earlier, and she's like, yeah, that probably would kill me. He's like, whatever, try it. If you try and cast a spell on me, I'll kill you before you're even able to move.
Mm-hmm.
And then their battle starts. Both of them blast their things off at the same time, and he's like, what the hell? She's fast. I had to actually block that. I couldn't dodge it. And then it just goes crazy. This guy like just cuts himself all over to get like thousands of blood areas. Fern is just shooting at him, and he's like, okay, she's fast, but she doesn't have much mana, so I'll just hold out until she's out of mana and then take her down. But then she isn't running out of mana, and he's like, what the fuck? How is she not running out of mana? Their battle keeps going on, and he's like, I'm gonna have to do something. I can't outlast her. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, she just is firing them off.
Yeah, she... Honestly, Fern's fights are the most visually interesting.
They are.
They might not have like the like coldest lines or anything, but she just like shoots so many shots when she's doing whatever it is she's doing.
Mm-hmm. She may do 1 HP of damage, but she has 1,000 DPS.
Yeah. So she eventually blasts this guy right through the center. He can't keep up with her millions of shots, and then he's like, how I think he says something like, of course I know where I've seen it before, and he like remembers Frieren. He's like, how could you have taught this girl?
How did you train her so well?
And then he realizes, he's like, no, it can't be. This isn't fair. That dirty trick, which they don't tell you exactly what it is yet, but clearly Frieren has taught Fern some kind of trick that works against demons. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you can kind of put... at this point, I did put it together. I thought, too. Based on like just the things that were being said through this.
Dropping hints about
cool stuff. Yeah. So Fern just blasts him. He's dead. He's like... And then he just has this like... The bad guy has this cool ass line where he's like, how could you have trained this girl to be so strong? And it just Fern float. Like every time Fern's floating, she just looks like a freaking like god that's going to destroy you.
She really does. She has no emotion in her face. She's a lot like Frieren.
Yeah, and he's like, how could she do this? But then but that's only in battle. She actually has a lot of emotion, like with the party. So then we get to episode 10. My favorite episode.
Is so good.
So it starts off with some flashbacks with Frieren and her master. Do you remember the name? I can't remember the name right now.
She has all the fake books.
Oh, well. Yeah, the, like, basically god of magic.
Who's the founder?
Yeah. And it shows how her master... You actually see some past of Frieren, how her master, like, found Frieren.
Yeah, the master is, like...
Her whole elf village destroyed. And she's like, come with me.
Well, Frieren... What makes her notice Frieren was the fact that Frieren was, like...
Her massive mana.
Yeah, well, then Frieren was, like... You're strong, despite the master hiding her mana, and the master was like, "How do you know?" If
that hasn't been mentioned. Yeah, you're kind of jumping ahead.
Okay,
but yeah, that is what it ends up being. But I'm saying at this point, she sees Frieren and she's like, "Wow, you have a massive amount of mana. You took down this demon king general person or warrior or something, like a big guy." Mm-hmm. And then she's like, come with me. You clearly have a lot of mana. And then Frieren... And you're like visually seeing their mana. Like it's showing you.
Yeah.
And Frieren has this like massive white area around her. She's like, you're stronger than me. But you see that the master has a much smaller like white mana area around her. And you're like, huh, good thing I already figured it out. But then she's like leading Frieren out. They run up across some like bad guys. The bad guys also have like large, very strong mana, these demons. And then she just blasts them away instantly. And that's like when it is explained to you, yes, that this lady just is constantly suppressing her mana to look weak to demons, even though she's like a god.
Mhm.
And what's cool is like that line that Frieren said to the master when she first met her. She's like, she's like, you're clearly the strongest mage I've ever met. There's like a flashback later on in this episode where Himmel says the same thing to Frieren. Like there's a showing of when they met, and Frieren is suppressing her mana, and everyone's like, oh, she's like average mana, and then Himmel's like, no, she's the strongest mage I've ever seen. I can just tell. Yeah, that's what it was. Call it a hunch. But just to skip through like the most of the flashbacks, it's basically like a montage of this master of Frieren basically teaching her, suppress your mana at all times, do this for years, and it goes on for years till eventually she dies, and mana suppressed her whole life.
Yeah, it becomes second
then
nature.
We get to
it's not like conscious thought.
Then we get to the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, the good stuff. Frieren is still fighting Aura, and Aura's like, okay, you've clearly wasted a ton of mana on the warriors that I had. Time to put you on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
She puts her on the scale, and this was just so badass. I could not believe it. And it's like so good. I loved it. But she's like on the scale, it's going back and forth. It's like, oh, which one's gonna be which? They're going up and down, weighing against each other. And then I think Aura says something. She's like, I'm an incredibly strong demon who's lived for over 500 years. You have no chance.
Well, at this point, Aura is
Frieren,
the heaviest.
Yeah, and then Frieren just, like, you're visually seeing both of their manas, and Aura's is significantly bigger than Frieren's. And then Frieren just explodes. The biggest mana we've ever seen, bigger than her master's even was back in the flashbacks. Explodes, massive mana. She goes something like, you're looking at a great mage who's lived for over 1,000.
It was so cool.
And I was like, god damn, that was freaking badass. The scale instant drops.
And Aura's eyes go all wonky.
The other girl's scared. Not yet. The other girl gets scared. And then Frieren says that coldest line. She goes, Aura, kill yourself. I couldn't believe it. It was so good, Bert.
It was good.
And with like the explosion of the mana, and then she just goes, Aura, kill yourself. But the delivery is so good. It's like,
it was good.
That's one of the coldest things I've ever seen. That was insane.
And she does it.
Yeah, and then you do see, though, she's strong enough to, like, slightly resist. She holds back for a couple seconds before killing herself. But still, like, the whole thing leading up to it, the combo, she's like, oh, you're looking at a powerful mage who's lived for over 1,000. Mana explosion, and then the Aura, kill yourself. Like,
and we learned that
so good.
They suppress their mana almost as, like, so it's like, since demons deceive humans by lying with their words, humans deceive demons by suppressing their mana.
Yeah, it's the same thing, because demons, basically communicate with their mana.
Yeah, mana is power for demons.
But man, I can't believe how cold that line is, though. Like, that was so good. You didn't love it? I loved it too, man. That has brought this show up so much for me. Like, I liked it before. I'm going to need to obviously finish it still, but it is in the running for a top 10 for me, I think, in anime.
It was a good
It has potential to be a top 10 anime for me right now.
I think it's in my top 10 list.
There's no way you can say that without finishing it.
Okay, well, as of now, it is.
Yeah, because, like, what if the ending's just dog shit, right? Yeah, but so far, potential is definitely there. It's really good. And that kind of ends that arc, She kills herself, and then we get to episode 11, where, like, the first half-ish of episode 11 is kind of just, like, the group
they clear
regrouping.
Up the misunderstanding between the Lord and the guard and all that other stuff.
I mean, there wasn't really a misunderstanding. At least with the Lord, there wasn't. He knew that they were good.
She officially got pardoned and stuff.
Yeah, of her earlier crime, yes. And then there's also a cool moment where, like, the Lord is, like, thankful of them for not just blasting these souls and actually, like, freeing them. And there's, like, a big burial, like a mass funeral for all of these, like, souls that were captured.
Yeah, it's kind of touching.
Which was nice. I really liked it.
And then, don't we get a little time lapse?
Yeah, that... Go.
I think we just get a time lapse of, like... I want to say, like, from summer to fall, almost.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it does seem like a significant amount of time.
Because they start wearing scarves and stuff now. Like, it's like early winter.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely getting colder. It's been some time.
So then they're just pretty much ready to head to town and keep moving north to head to the continent, right? Or I forgot exactly.
Yeah, to just
keep going north.
Keep heading towards Aureole.
So then as they're leaving town, they find out that in order to keep heading north, they need a first-class mage. And the group's
I
like,
forgot about that, actually.
Oh, Frieren, you're a first-class mage, right? And she's like, I don't know. I haven't been certified in a couple 100 years.
Yeah. She's like, with the like group that certifies changing so often, who can be bothered? And they're like, what do you mean? It's been around for 50 years. So she's like, so not much time at all.
Any time. So then the Lord is like, oh, head to Orstris?
It sounds like oyster, but it's not oyster. I don't remember what it's called.
Which is towards the north, which is like the big magic city.
Yeah, it's like on the way to where they're going, but it's a magic city where she can take her test. Also, we find out Fern is ranked 3rd class mage, which is probably good because there's 5 rankings. So she's in the middle.
Yeah. She did that in a while back.
Also, the youngest ever 3rd class mage.
Forgot.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So then they're told about a mountain pass.
So their new goal.
To save some time.
Get to that sound, rank her to what they need. And then continue.
Huh?
I said that's their new goal, to get her a first class and then continue after that towards heaven.
And then they're told about a mountain pass to save some time since the main road would take a while. And they're like, oh, let's do it.
And they're like, bet.
And then as they're in the mountains, a snowstorm hits, which kind of reminded me of the Outdoor Boys. And then they had to take cover in a cabin.
Wait, slight side thing. If you haven't seen the Outdoor Boys, that channel rocks.
It's just a camping channel on YouTube. Highly recommend.
Yeah, it also does blacksmithing.
That is true, but he hasn't done a new blacksmithing video in a couple of years.
Yeah, that's true. But he also like piles on his camping in the winter. So, anyways, back to the show. Yeah, you said cabin. They find a cabin.
Then they open the door to the cabin, and inside is this man shirtless doing some exercises. And they're like, and then Fern's like, we can't stay here. There's a pervert inside. And then
Fern gets a little bit too accusatory on that. This guy's on his own,
and he's just obviously exercising to stay warm.
And it's not he wasn't even, he just had his shirt off. That was it.
Yeah. So then the guy comes out to introduce himself, and as they're like walking away, the guy notices that Frieren's an elf, and he's also an elf. So then that's pretty much excuse enough to go inside the cabin. And
I'm assuming that this will be more significant later on, because there was not much significance to this at the moment. Yeah. But there was things that seem like they will be brought up again.
One thing I like here is that Stark and the elf guy compare bodies, like muscles and stuff. It's just like it's like guys being bros.
What I liked was something where Stark's like, man, this guy clearly puts in the work.
He's like, damn, you have a nice body. And he's like, what? You can't respect him, man? You can tell he puts work into it. I was like, fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Yeah, that was funny. But what the significance of this guy, at least from what I can tell, he like hints at this but doesn't exactly tell them. It seems like this guy was some legendary warrior at some point, and where the world has forgotten about him because obviously he's an elf, so he lives a long time, just as Frieren does.
Yeah, he has a similar story to Frieren. At least when it comes to
because he like casually mentions, he's like, "Do you remember me?" And he's like, "No, it's fine. I mean, we've never met, but there was a time when I did a lot of things." Like just casually mentions, and then it moves on, and it's like, I wonder what this guy did do. I'm assuming we'll find out eventually, but at least from what I've seen, I have not found out yet.
I don't know either. But
so
then we just get another little time lapse of them trying to survive the winter together. I think.
Oh yeah, it's a while actually. It is a little bit of time, maybe a month
it's
or
winter.
So. Or maybe a week. I think it's the
it's
just the blizzard, not
like
the whole winter. Yeah. So eventually they part ways, move on. The significance of this guy will probably come back at some point, but
one thing they have a little conversation about is I noticed that Frieren's tone seems to change about Himmel. How it's like they the two elves were talking about like past friends and stuff, and he was like, "Sounds like you have some good friends." And she was like, and then she was thinking back to Himmel, and she was like, "Well, she's like he's dead already," or she was gonna say he's dead. Oh yeah,
that was so sad.
But then she was like, "He's already found his way to heaven." And I just thought that was nice because that's where, like, she's not like.
There was to talk about that scene that you're saying. That show is sad because I think the exact thing that happened was he was like, "You have some good friends," referring to Fern and Stark. Yeah, he's like, "Treasure them," and she's like, "I'm afraid it's too late."
Oh yeah.
But then I think like the reason she like changed halfway through is because she realized multiple things in the middle of her thing. She's like, "It's too late, he's already," and then she stopped and looked at Fern and Stark, and I think she like realized she still has good friends too.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
I see that way.
That's what it seemed like. But that show was sad at first. She's like, "It's too late." And then also maybe it's not too late because she's going to talk to him again.
Then
we'll have to see, though.
That's the end of this episode.
And yeah, just a pretty. It's not nothing special, but
I think it's
like the connect. It's like the transfer to a new arc. Yeah,
and probably introduces a character that comes up later.
Yeah, well, in episode, that guy will probably come up later. I find it hard to believe that that's all he'll ever be. You know, because they part ways. That's over with. So then we continue on.
In the village.
Yeah.
That Stark is freaking out about. He's like, "I can't believe we're here."
Yeah, I loved this like break of the trope type of thing that happened here.
They handled it so well. And even like it's nothing was out of character here.
Yeah. There are a few things that happened in this episode, and I'm just trying to remember. Okay, yes. So main things is the break of the trope, like we were saying. Basically, the whole thing is this is the town. Stark's freaking out, like you said. This is the town the hero sword used to be in until Himmel the hero, which is basically, sword in the rock. Yeah. Hero's able to pull it out.
The holy sword.
Like, according to legend, Himmel the hero was able to pull it out. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
and they're there to exterminate monsters from the surrounding area. Just because the sword attracts. Yeah,
apparently the town's been having trouble with, well, we didn't get to that yet, Bert. But, so, Himmel took the sword is how the legend goes. And then, according to the town leader, who for some reason is like 10.
She's new.
Is like, we've been having a lot of monster problems. Yeah, she's new. She's new to this earth.
No,
We've been having a lot of monster problems. Can you hear us? Help us. It's like, bet. They're taking out all these monsters, and it's just wolves. Nothing like crazy, just fodder stuff for our heroes who are so good at this point. There's a cool like little mini boss, right, where Stark jumps down and takes out like 1,000,000 wolves, and then he like looks into this cave and he's like, "What the hell, Frieren?" And then this massive wolf jumps on him, who is like the Lord of the Snow, I think they call him, or some shit like
Lord
that.
Of the Mountain or some weird name.
And it's like he just like buries Stark, and then Frieren comes down, and she says this badass line, which I like because I feel like Stark is now like at this point, it's close to a year that he's been with them, and it's starting to show like their familiarity with them. Like, she jumps down there, and her instant thing, she's like, "Stark, I know you're fine. Come help me."
Like, stand up already.
Which I really like, because I feel like, just in, at least from what I've seen in general, there are not a lot. Even though it's not like, you know, my main thing I want to see, there's not a lot of interactions with Frieren and Stark. It's mostly Fern and Stark. So like Frieren and Stark interactions, I feel like, are so wholesome, because it's like just like a mom talking to a kid.
I agree.
So I love those.
They are pretty funny.
So then Stark just comes out, listens to Frieren, they body this wolf thing together. Pretty awesome stuff. And then it's like, so what was Stark talking about? Turns out the hero sword is still here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
And then
it's like, what?
Flashback, don't we?
The homie was supposed to have taken that. We do get a flashback. We actually got one earlier, but I was just saving it because I wanted to do it all in one. Because there's like 2 or 3 flashbacks of Himmel's party in that, where basically it shows like they're starting out on the journey, where Himmel's like pulls out his sword when Frieren first joins him, and she's like, "That's the hero sword," and he's like, "Nah, it's just a replica that I got in a town."
I was given.
And his like Haiter always used to make fun of him for having a replica. He's like, "Oh, a fake sword for a fake hero." He's like, "It doesn't matter. One day I'll have the real sword and I'll take out the Demon King and we'll all be heroes." That was like earlier on. Now, after we're seeing the sword, Frieren tells the story of what happened. He's like, "Why is this still here?" You get this flashback back to, turns out Himmel could not pull the sword out of the rock. And like we were saying earlier, I loved this, and Himmel's reaction to it too. He's like, "Doesn't even matter. I'm going to be a hero, stop the Demon King, and it won't even matter that I don't have the sword."
No one will remember me.
He's like, "I'll be a fake hero until I make myself a real hero. And at that point it won't matter." And that,
he was so positive.
But that's true. That's true,
That's what
man.
makes a hero a real hero,
like,
though.
It's not even heroes. It's just, like, I feel like most things, at least for me, it's like you just, I guess I can do this until eventually you do it. Like, I'll bring it to programming for you, Bert. I feel like I never have any idea what I'm doing. And then I finish it and I'm like, huh, guess I did it.
And then you get those little checkpoints where it's like, holy shit, I figured this out.
Like, I'll be a fake programmer until it works, and then it won't matter.
Programming is it works. Between a god complex and imposter syndrome.
So it's imposter syndrome, and then occasionally you're like, what is happening? But it's working. And that was like where I connected it here. I was like, yes, just make it real. Who cares if it's fake? I loved that. I love that he wasn't the perfect hero, but still was the perfect hero.
Yes, I agree. He wasn't the storybook
Way
hero.
better than Captain America lifting the hammer.
Yeah, we don't need that.
The literal opposite. The literal opposite of that.
It actually is. It's so funny.
Captain America needed this hammer to be a hero and stop Thanos. Himmel didn't need the sword to stop the Demon King.
Was satisfactory.
He's like, the important thing is me, not the sword. Captain America's like, yeah, I kind of need that shield and hammer.
I need those back, buddy.
Yeah, also, I'm not even going to stop it. Iron Man's going to. Anyways, God tier, super cool. Loved it.
And then after,
I think that's most of what it is. And then the last half of the episode is almost like a little
they're just
filler.
hanging out in this town now.
But I loved it too. What is happening is they wake up one morning, and then Frieren's like, "Hey Fern, it's Stark's birthday," and she's like, "Oh shit, I had no idea." Frieren's like, "I already got him this potion to melt clothes. Boys love that."
Yeah. So then Fern pours it on her.
Yeah, and it's like, damn, now she's got to get a different gift. That's tough. And then Fern's like, oh my god, I got to figure out a gift for Stark. I like this. I felt like this was great character bonding.
I think it was too.
Especially because
a bit more about Stark.
Fern and Stark needed some character bonding too.
Yeah.
And it was just funny.
So you do it. No, you
got it. So Fern goes around town looking at all these different stores, trying to find something Stark likes, and she's like, damn, I don't know shit about him.
I want to do the flashback.
But she's also, as she's going, there's
a flashback I want to talk about.
Yeah, but I'm not there yet, I don't think. Well, then don't interrupt me. Anyways, as she's going through town looking at all these shops for something he likes, she realizes every single person she talks to is like, hey, Stark helped me with this, Stark helped me with that. She's like, man, maybe he's a actual nice guy and I'm just an asshole to him for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
She eventually finds him and he's just being like dumb as shit, just saying clouds look like titties or something. She's like, I knew it, he's an idiot. But then she's like, nah, he's just dumb, but he's still nice. And then they talk, have a good time. And she's like, hey, come with me. Let's go get you a gift. I don't know what to get you. She's like, I just need to be straight with him and tell him I don't know what to do. She's like, let's go look for something together and I'll pick you anything.
Yeah.
And then they have a cute date. Not a real date, but kind of a date.
Mm-hmm. We're just shopping around town.
Where she takes him shopping. He's like, I want that. And she's like, that's too expensive.
The most expensive thing on the show.
Yeah, he's like, okay, that one then. She's like, deal. Gets him a gift. And he actually wears it. At least as far as I've seen, he wears it from now on.
And then we find out.
It's cute, yeah. Just before we get to that, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the brother one or the master one?
They both lead into each other.
All right, you got it. Then I'll just let
you
go.
So as he's getting the gift, or while they're getting the gift, it comes up that he's never gotten a gift before from his family or anything, because like he was always like weak and stuff, and so his family never actually appreciated him.
He was always weak.
And then Fern talks about like, what did your master do for you for your birthday? And then he thinks back and he's like, oh, master used to grill me this.
Well, no, at this point he says nothing. He never got me anything. It's not until they get back and late. We'll get to that there. You're right. But yes.
So then, did we get a flashback with the brother here then too?
Yeah, we get to see how, but we don't get the full story yet. We get to see how he's like maybe they were right. I was a coward that ran away. But you see that his brother actually treated him.
Yeah, exactly. So we get a flashback to when Stark was a kid, and his brother is getting praised. Basically, it really is like Sasuke and Itachi.
Like Sasuke Itachi.
It's very similar.
Except Sasuke was actually still good, even though he wasn't Itachi. Yeah. Whereas Stark was dog shit.
True. So anyways, Stark's older brother is being praised by the family for being able to kill a super strong monster without getting his cloak dirty.
Getting dirt on his jacket.
And then his older brother comes up and talks to Stark, and then as they're talking, Stark ends up getting mud on his brother's white cloak.
And you're like, he's about to get his ass beat.
But the brother,
based on just how he said his whole family hated him.
But then the brother just laughs it off, and he's like, it's fine.
And he's like, let me help you train.
And it's just like a nice, good older brother moment.
Then we cut back to like Stark and Fern, and he's like, actually, my brother was pretty good. Yeah. Too bad I abandoned him.
Yeah, and then
he's like, I'm a terrible person. And then Fern's like, well, I don't think you're that bad. He's like, how do you know I won't abandon you? She's like, I know you won't. And it was like a nice moment there. Then after they get the gift, him and Fern come home, and Frieren's cooking like this massive Hamburg steak.
That's what it's called.
And yeah, Fern's like, what the hell? Why are you making so much food? And he's like, what do you mean? That's what you always do on birthdays? He's like, has a freaking light bulb moment. He's like, oh, Master did always do that on my birthday. And he realizes that was the gift that he always used to get from his master, that he didn't get nothing.
What happens is that Fern, they have a flashback to the hero's party where Fern asked the dwarf, like, why are you... Frieren asked the dwarf, like, why are you grilling Hamburg steaks?
Why do you make such comically large food on everyone's birthday?
And he's like, well, it's a way to honor them, like a warrior's honor or something.
Well, what he specifically said is it's a gift for a warrior's hard work. And then she's like, but we're not warriors. And he's like, but you always work hard.
Anyone who works hard is a warrior.
Yeah, that's what it was. So then Stark realizes that his master, because up to this point, he always thought his master never appreciated him. And he's like, because he never heard this story. And Frieren tells him this story. And he's like, so that means he always thought I was working hard.
And we know his master isn't the most thoughtful or talkative person. So it makes sense how this could happen.
Yeah. And that was freaking awesome. I loved that. Because we've been thinking for like 5 episodes or some shit that he never gave a fuck really. Like he kind of cared, but not really. And it's like now Stark knows he cared.
Yeah, in his own way.
And then when he takes a bite of the thing, it gives him like another flashback, and he's like,
he gets a flashback.
He remembers that after he realizes his master cared, he's like, oh my god, my brother cared. And he sees that he didn't actually fully run away. His brother made him leave. He's like, get out of here.
We get a flashback
that he didn't abandon his brother.
His whole family got killed. And his brother was...
We don't know. He left.
Oh, yeah.
I'm convinced his brother's alive because we don't see him die.
Like, traumatized him. Like, his brother is basically saying, run away. It's like, I want you to live.
Yeah.
And then...
So he didn't abandon him.
Like, don't we get another flashback to when his brother... was cooking him a hamburg steak on his birthday, being like, don't tell anyone about this. And then it's like...
Yeah, we're supposed to hate you, don't tell anyone.
My brother did give me a gift on my birthday, and it made him start to like tear up.
Yeah, honestly, God tier almost filler type thing. It like great character development in that.
It was.
I loved it. Okay, so overall, I'm just realizing now, this was a banger section.
Yeah, a lot happened, and we got a bit of character development at the end.
Yeah, right? Like, it's holding pace. I was like, man, is this... When we were like leading up to recording, I was like, I think the first 6 were better, but these were still really good. But after going through this, I'm like, damn, this was just as good.
The first 6 were good only because of like how reminiscent they were, sort of.
Well, I think 1 and 2 were so freaking emotional.
There was a lot of detail in these episodes.
Yeah, now we're like in the more like less. It's easier to binge watch because I don't have to be like, fuck, I need a break after that.
Each episode is an emotionally taxing experience.
But it's getting way more badass than I thought. Like, there were some like significant fights.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen when they have to take that magic exam.
Who knows? Are we going to get a tuning exam arc?
I'm thinking.
But that would have nothing to do with Stark.
Yeah, he would just be thumb up his butt the whole time.
He's not a mage. Like, yeah, Fern could join it, but I don't see Fern.
I think
that would be crazy, actually, if Fern got first class and Frieren didn't. That would be kind of cool.
That would be so funny.
I could see that happening just because she like can't be bothered to follow some specific rule or something.
She loses on a technicality.
Yeah. I'm kind of expecting that now. And Fern gets it. Okay, there's something specific I wanted to talk about though that I only noticed now that I've seen it so many times. The opening is so fucking good.
I'm gonna say something criminal. I haven't watched it yet.
Don't. You haven't watched the opening?
I skip intro.
Oh my god, it's so freaking good.
They scare me because I normally spoil the whole anime, so I normally watch them at the end.
Yeah, that's true. They do show some characters that I still don't know, but it doesn't show like any plot points. But yeah, there's some characters that I still don't know. But specifically, I think it shows a great contrast between the past and the present, because I'm just from memory, because I'm trying to remember it, like some specific images that stick out in my mind is there's like multiple times you see Frieren walking through like shadows of people, which I feel like is like showing like the insignificance of people to her at the beginning because of just how short they live, and then the shadows are what's left of them afterwards.
Yeah.
Then every time Frieren is shown with anyone in Himmel's party, she's like looking at them from behind and like following them. And anytime she's shown with her new party, she's in front and they're all looking at her from behind, which is peak detail right there. Detail. I love that. And the last shot, every single time, all 12 times of this episode, I've loved it. The last shot of the opening is so goddamn peak. It is like it's almost like it's 2 separate images that are cut in the middle, right? 2 different things. The left side is panning over Himmel's party. The right side is panning over the current day party of Stark and Fern. And then they meet in the middle and it's Frieren, and it like cuts. It's like the back is past her with
That is
everyone
kinda cool.
behind her, and then the front the front is past her looking at everyone from behind, and then the back is current her with Stark and Fern behind her. That shot is so goddamn good.
It's cool how
I love that shot.
How the
And
intro
then
reflects
if you
the
noticed,
story.
because I've noticed it from watching the intro so much, every single time there's a flashback, Frieren is in the back following everyone. And every single time we're in current day, she is in the lead of the party and they're following her. And it shows, like, it literally, I'm looking at the image right now. I had to look it up because I love it so much. This image of her literally being the bridge of time. It's so good. You got to watch the intro. It's so freaking good.
I will.
This is, I'm not even kidding you. Like, the song itself, decent, right? It's nothing legendary, but it's good. But the imagery, this has got to be my favorite ever, I think, for an intro, visually. I love it. It's so goddamn good.
All right, I'll have to watch.
I think that's all I have to say. I'm just blown away by the intro is what it comes down to. And these 6 episodes have kept up the pace. I would say that it hasn't dropped at all.
I'd agree.
I would say it actually had a higher peak with episode 10. Episode 10 is my favorite episode so
I do
far.
like episode 10.
Just the aura.
Kill yourself.
Kill yourself. So good. Like, oh my god. We got to tell him to watch this when he gets back, I feel like, and then just get like an update when he's done with it, because it's so good. Like, I'm really desperately hoping they don't ruin it, but I am on track to, like, I love this show right now. I love it. I hope I love it at the end, too.
Me too.
So that's it. That's all we got for now. God tier show. At least up to episode 12. It rocks. So we'll get back to you. Next week will be something in our backlog. I'm not sure yet. And then after that, we'll get back to French Fry. See ya.
Keep it salty.